And good morning and welcome to the focus session of the ECB. Today's topic is Eurosystem Collateral Management System. We're really delighted to have a lot of you on board here today for another great session. So it's compact one as normal. We will do 2.5 hours, full focus on the Eurosystem Collateral Management System. So, we're really delighted to have lots of you on board here today. My name is Aylin. I'm here with the fantastic team of ECB colleagues, and we will try to guide you through today's session. It's all virtual. Uh, it's uh, it's all full speed as always. But many of you have joined us before. But we just want to maybe highlight a few things before we get going, so that everyone, can follow and take as way much as possible from this session. Um, it's done in WebEx, so some of you are in the WebEx already, but we also live stream the full event. In case you have issues with the WebEx, move to the live stream. It's running the whole time on the ECB website. You can just scan the QR code here, and then you have it in case you run into trouble later. So maybe do that now to start off with. And then a few more things before we get going. As you have probably noticed, there is the chat function up and running. So you can send us questions in the chat. This is your way to communicate with us if you are in the WebEx. This doesn't prevent other participants who watch the live stream to participate. You can always send us emails, and the email address is shown on the screen now. It's a little complicated, so maybe grab your phones and quickly take a snap of that so you have it for later. mip.events@ecb.europa.eu. So complicated, but once you have it, you can always get in contact with us. So use that to send your questions in. The purpose of these events are really, to engage with you. So we want to take your questions on board. We want to try to answer as many of them as possible throughout the event. We do know that you guys get really active during the event, so we will probably not manage to cover all questions, but we try as hard as we can. So really do send us questions throughout today's session. All right, so as some of you know, the ones who have been here before, we always have this little feedback question at the end. I'm just going to post it here so you have it already now. You can again scan the QR code and get in there. Some of the questions you, of course, can't answer yet because the session isn't over, but we encourage you to do it because we actually use the feedback you give us to try to improve the sessions. And one of the things that we've noticed that some of you are saying, we've tried to implement in this focus session today. So we hope you got a benefit from that. One of the things some of you have been saying is that we're using a lot of acronyms. Okay, we are aware of this, and I promise you that all acronyms are spelled out on all the slides that you will be seeing today. But also, what we're doing is that we're posting the acronyms in the chat. But there's still some of you in the live stream, so I'm just going to quickly run you through 4 slides, just like this. I'm not going to go through, of course, all the acronyms because then we'll all be, dizzy by the end of it. But maybe again, grab your phones and just take, quick shots of this. So you have it for later on, that in case there's something you miss, something that gets a little bit confusing while we're running through the slides, maybe you can just go back to your little shots here and, double check the acronym. So there's this one here, a few more on the Eurosystem's application bodies. So there's a lot here, take a shot of that. Again here, a few different ones. Yeah, so I'll just let you all take a quick snapshot of that. And then some for user testing and migration. We have the user testing migration colleague sitting here in front of me. So they will be using some of these acronyms later on. And that's it. So I hope you got a snap of that. But do give us feedback at the feedback survey at the end, because this really, we really want this to try to improve. So that's it. So again, I encourage you to, put in those questions that you have throughout the event. Follow us again throughout the event. Put in questions. We will try to pick them up as we progress. I also want to mention up front that everything we present today will be on the website afterwards. So you do not need to take full notes of everything that is on the slides. All slides come to the website after we upload, almost immediately after the event. And we also upload the recording of the whole session. So you can re-watch. If anything, you want to watch a separate session, you can do that after the today's morning session. So that's it. That's it from my side. So again, just a live stream here. In case you run into any issues, move to that. And then I won't say anything more. I just want us to get going with the first item. That's the welcome address. And for this, we have George with us today. He's Deputy Head of Division at the Market Infrastructure Development Department. So I want to hand over to him, and he's going to introduce before we hit into the heavy program. So that's it for me, and welcome to you, George.
Good morning. Welcome to all. Can you hear me well, Eileen?
Absolutely.
Very good. So a warm welcome to all of you to the focus session. I have to say I'm quite impressed. I see more than 1,000 participants in this session and covering 34 countries actually, going beyond 2 or 3 continents. Quite impressive composition. Very briefly, my name is George Kalogeropoulos. I'm the Deputy Head of Market Infrastructure Development Team. What does it mean? This is a team that runs the major projects in the Eurosystem on behalf of the NCBs in the target services. In our jargon, that means covering target, TIPS, the retail payment system, and target 2 securities or T2S, the security side of target services. And ECMS, the Eurosystem Collateral Management System, would be a very important part of this ecosystem. And I think that's the reason why most of you are here, facilitating liquidity management for the target services. So this is a 5th focus session on ECMS. We did the last one in June, and it is true that a lot of things happened between June and now. Very good things, but also some challenges. And you probably are aware of the fact that the Governing Council of the ECB, in the meantime, in September this year, decided to reschedule the go live of ECMS. The idea was initially to go live in November this year. And now, as it was announced initially in September and with a concrete date on the 24th of October, the new go live date will be 16th of June 2025. The idea behind is to enable the Eurosystem to improve and mitigate, let's say, the risks and improve the issues in terms of software quality, but also to allow more time to the NCBs, the users of ECMS, including the counterparties, to complete, let's say, the full portfolio of the fundamental and important test cases. I will very briefly want to dive a bit into this decision and to explain why it was taken and what it means both for us but for you as a community. So basically, since July, in the summertime, the testing accelerated a lot with the NCB, but also with the participants. And we were in the position to improve and cover most, let's say, test cases and have most of the functionalities available for testing to the communities. But still, a number of software incidents, production problems prevented us from having, let's say, an adequate coverage of the testing progress. Also, we had the migration test 11, so-called MT11, another acronym, in September. And we also had positive outcomes of this migration test. So things are getting better, I would say. But of course, one can ask why then you decided to postpone. This is a multifaceted project that affects and involves many markets. I can give you an example. Some of you, for example, you have told us that the testing cases have gone well. You will be even ready to go live in November 2024, whereas in other, let's say, markets or in other stakeholders, because of the specificities, because of the different collateral mobilization, I would say, tools and assets and traditions and standards. This did not allow to complete the test cases. Also, as I said, due to some software issues. So there is a moment where, of course, it's good to stick to the initial plan, but there is an even better decision, I would say, to be courageous and brave and say this is the right moment to reschedule and allow more time to all stakeholders in order to mitigate risks and go live with confidence. As I said at the beginning, this is about collateral mobilization of the Eurosystem, and this is important, as you can imagine, for monetary policy and for the liquidity provision also for all target services. So this is the elements that the MIB, the ECB Market Infrastructure Board, took into account in September. And that's how it was proposed to the Governing Council, the ECB Governing Council. It was decided to give more time, let's say, to the Eurosystem, to the NCBs, and to the counterparts to complete this project delivery with success. Looking forward, we are 7 months before the go live, more or less. And as Eileen just mentioned, the idea is that today we deep dive on the modalities of the testing planning in the coming months. And Audrey, Bobby, Bamini, and Anaisa will take you through the planning of the testing phases. They will also deep dive into some functional domains, as we call them, which I know they are of interest for some of you in terms of, for example, corporate actions or credit claims, for example. And they will try to present to you the current planning of the activities in the coming months. I think this is extremely important for most of you. And I would strongly encourage, as Eileen mentioned, that you engage very actively, you provide your feedback, your questions, and we'll try to address most of them. You also have the opportunity to do it after the call. And I would like to underline that this is indeed very important for us. We have our own reporting, we have our own reaching out to the counterparties as Eurosystem, but I think this session also provides an additional channel, I would say even a more direct one, to make us aware of what is important for you in the coming months. I would not like to spend more time on the introduction. I would like to wish all of you a very successful engagement with the team today, and happy to take your comments and questions. Eileen, back to you.
Thank you, George. So that was the intro. So we have, as George said, a big program ahead of us. George will be staying with us, so he can also pick up questions later. So thanks for that, George. So the next topic that we're going to dive into is the timeline and the key milestones ahead. And for that, I have Audrey with us. So Audrey, I want to bring in you and then hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Good morning, everyone, from my side. And so before doing the deep dive into this new testing and migration planning, I wanted to bring some updates really at project level. On the next slide, I think George already gave to you this status update. I want to here indicate again, thanks a lot. Last time in June, when we did this focus session, I was pushing you to test, and this is what you have done this summer. We have seen a good progress, but still we have also identified some system quality issues and still need more time to complete. So that's why there was this decision to reschedule. Our new go live date is now the 16th of June 2025. Definitely now looking at the status we have is that we should have been live on Monday. Initially it should have been the 18th of November. And from what I see in the testing environment and what I will indicate in the coming slides, I think this was a good decision. It was a hard decision which has been taken, but it was a good one. On the next slide, yes, on this one, you can see the go-no-go criteria monitoring. Nothing new, it's still the same than the one I mentioned in June. But here to recall you what we are looking at. So we have our steering committee, which is named this MIB, Market Infrastructure Board, which is on a regular basis looking at different go-no-go criteria. We have more than 30 criteria, big 4 clusters, the product readiness, Eurosystem operational and migration readiness. And this is on this assessment that there was this decision taken already in September. So not even waiting for the initial go-no-go decision, but already in September, we have identified the need to take a decision. And so now what we are still looking at and facing challenges is mainly on the product readiness. And that's why a lot of testing activities are ongoing. Eurosystem readiness, operational migration readiness, we are more or less fine. So this is good, but there is still a need to continue working on mainly on the testing. On the next slide, and this is what I want to take as an opportunity today with you. So besides, of course, please do as much as possible testing activities. I would like to encourage you also to do this so-called UTSU, so user testing status update. I know that on a monthly basis, you have your NCB coming to you, asking you, where do you stand? What is the status? Are you confident or not? Are you green, yellow, red? Asking for maybe percentages of testing completion. You may thought it's a bit a workload on your side. It's why are you doing this? But I want to stress here that we are using that. This is a key component for us when we are looking at the status. As we indicated at the ECB, we have to rely on the NCBs in the middle. So here I want to support all my NCB community that this is something we look at. Currently, it's on a monthly basis. I think almost every 4 weeks, you have to do this status update. We will keep it as it is. If when we are close to the no-go decision next year, we see a need to make it more frequent. Let's see. For time being, we also want to make the balance between you doing the testing or doing reporting only. So this is why we, for time being, keep this monthly approach. And on the next slide, you can see how does it look like, because I said it was a hard decision. It's fully anonymized, but now maybe you can also see a bit why we are still facing challenges in the testing. On the CSD side, you don't see any more red, which is quite good. This is a cutoff 1st of November. But on the counterparty or the intermediaries you may have, so the closely monitored and the regularly monitored actors, you can see still some challenges with high risk of not completing testing. So we have some red. And here I want to push this as the gray one. We need your information, because definitely the gray could make a difference. If we look at the closely monitored actors, where we have 7 which are gray, so not reporting, we don't know if you would be red or you would be green. And definitely this could be a game changer, at least on our side, to see where we have to focus on. So these are kind of pies which we also bring to our steering committee. So definitely this is something we are looking at when we do the update of the go-no-go criteria, when we do the project status update. That's why this monitoring we do, it's really something important. So again, when your NCB are coming to you, asking you to update, please keep in mind that this is something we are looking at on the ECB and also the ECB decision-making bodies. That being said, I think I was quite reinforcing the message. I did mention testing activities, but in the meantime, so the decision was taken already in September, and so it's already 2 months almost that the decision was taken to do a no-go. We have been working on many things. So of course, the new planning, the colleagues will provide all this new planning for the testing and migration. But what we have done also was a reduction of the open incident and defects. There was a backlog of old tickets. So for us, it was quite key to also have clarity of, are these still tickets meaningful? Please have a look. So there was a huge effort put by all the testers to reduce this backlog. So thanks a lot for that. This is very helpful for us. We can see also a positive trend. There is all this testing campaign, and so we still see number of incidents and TBI, but it's now a bit different compared to what we have noticed this summer. Second point I want to bring here, it's about the GUI performance. Some of you may have noticed, and I think it's mainly impacting the one using Swift as a van provider, that there was a bit of slow time response if you were using it U2A. And so there has been a lot of work done also in the past weeks to find a solution. There has been some NCB pilot testing conducted with the Swift with some updates, and we have seen that there was an improvement. So this is something which should soon come to you, I think by end of this year. So for the ones facing such a U2A user experience with small response time, this should soon be fixed as well on your side. The third bullet point on what we were also working on was about operational day and the processing of ESCB data. This is Eurosystem data that we receive. We have been working on that as well to ensure that the ECMS operational day is working properly and that you have all the, I will not say reference data, but dynamic data. So everything which is about prices, ratings, list of eligible assets, and so on. So what we were looking at is to ensure that you have all the good testing conditions put in place to now manage to finalize this testing campaign that we are working on. Going back a bit more to the key milestones. End of migration activities upcoming. This is what Anais and Bobby will provide to you in a few minutes. End of user testing in April. This is what Bamini and Bobby will also provide as an update. Here, what I want to stress, highlight, this is what you have in the middle, 4th of April 2025. It's about the operational, contractual, and legal adaptations. We did a readiness reporting this summer where we have seen that for some of you, you are still working on it. And for sure, for some, it's also depending on the testing completion. This is totally fine. This milestone has been rescheduled to be aligned with the new go live date. So here, a heads up, do not overlook. You may be focusing a lot on testing. This is a milestone which is still relevant for all of you to ensure that everything is ready on the operational side, but as well on the legal and contract aspects for each of you. And another key milestone I want to bring here, this is a go no go, because even if we are going live mid-June, 16th of June, the go no go decision here is the one to be taken by the MIB, so our steering committee is forcing beginning of May. As said, we do a regular assessment of the go no go criteria. So if we see any things where we need to take action, we will do, but I hope that this time, 5th of May will be a go decision and that finally ECMS will go live on 16th of June 2025. Now, looking at this revised project timeline, so I don't want to afraid you, it's a lot of boxes here and there, but I thought let's disclose a bit what we are looking at, because the colleagues will bring a lot of updates on the testing and migration. Here, what I want to give to you as well as information, we were working a lot also on the platform stability and system performance. So it's a lot of work on the infra side, let's say, maybe not all visible to you, but this is what the colleagues are also working on. So we have non-functional tests which have been conducted recently, in particular on the credit claims, where we know we have big volumes, high volumes. So this has been done already. We have upcoming tests also security related, because of course we are market infrastructure. So we have to ensure that all the security requirements are also met by the ECMS project. You can see at the bottom some selected project milestones. Here I wanted to pass as a message this regular reporting we do to the MIB or steering committee, but also to the decision-making bodies of the ECB, namely the board and the governing council. In the past, we were doing a quarterly updates, And now we are going to monthly updates. This is really something where everyone is carefully looking at the ECMS. Here again, that's why this UTSU is also used for this reporting. So definitely, Kay, if you have any message you want to pass, please also use this reporting. So then we can see where we have to focus on, where are the remaining challenges, and then we can see if we can make it or not. I'm sure we will make it this time. So again, this reporting is quite key for us. This is what we bring to our Governing Council without waiting for go-no-go decision, which will be mid-May by the Governing Council. Definitely, this is something where on a monthly basis now they will know where do we stand with the ECMS projects. So there are a lot of blue boxes here, no need to go into details, and indeed, that's fine. We can go to the next slide, thanks. Yeah, I wanted to bring to you all this publication we do on the ECB website. We do publish on a regular basis documents available to you. I know also from the readiness reporting that from time to time you are missing some documentation. So also here I want to highlight if there is anything specific we can also still work on, provide to you. We can look at it. We have already published a lot of info packs, handbooks on various ECMS functionalities and business processes. These are in a PPT format, some high-level information, but still relevant information. About testing and migration, we do publish on the bi-weekly basis the testing conditions documents. So we have, it's also related to the bi-weekly deployments we have here. Maybe for sake of English, even if my English is not the best one, bi-weekly here means fortnightly. So do not expect to have it twice a week, but it's every 2 weeks. We also have published information on messages, status codes, business rules, as well as access patterns, U2A, A2A roles. So if there is any update, you can also find this with the web page, and last but not least, the summaries of this previous focus session are also made available. I wanted to bring it to you as well that soon you should have an updated user handbook for counterparties available on the screen. So also from testing activities, we are also paying attention if there is anything we need to update in the document as such. So this is what we are also keeping track. So this updated user handbook is to take on board all the comments, all the incidents which have been identified, where at the end it was because the user handbook was not up to date as well. I provided a lot of information again, but I hope that this was all quite beneficial for you to have this high-level message provided before going really into the testing and migration activities. I wanted to stress really the need for doing this UTSU. This reporting is really key for us. This is really something that we are using. And we know our NCB are in the middle. They are also supporting you. And they are also reporting to us any feedback you are providing to them. So continue to use this channel with your NCBs. This is really something useful for the ECMS projects.
Thank you, Audrey. A lot of information in a short period of time, so we'll just let it sink in for everybody. And then I know that you will also be staying on, so questions will be coming in. So then I'll bring you back on. There is one question, maybe back to George, so we can see that we have a delay in the people type speeding. So George, I just want to bring you back in quickly because we have a question on what you addressed a bit in the beginning, a little on the performance issues. So maybe you wanna address that.
Yes, thank you, Elaine. Indeed, and I think Audrey to some extent touched upon this. This is a priority indeed and well identified point on the interfacing with ECMS that the MIB, the Market Infrastructure Board, was truly made aware in September and October. And as I can see from the question, indeed, the gentleman or the lady who asked the question is very well aware that we are working very closely with SWIFT to fix the issue, because this is more about how you interact and you interface with ECMS rather than, I would say, an endogenous core element of the ECMS functionality. There was a deployment. The first results we received is that this has improved substantially the performance. Now, I would say if some of you still face performance issues, please, as soon as possible, reach out to your NCB, and then the ECB team can focus on that with priority and earmark the specific market and the specific NCB with the counterparts. Perhaps Bobby can say also a few words in his session a bit later on the point about simplifying, let's say, the menu and the interaction with the ECMS. It's a good point. We have taken this already into account on board. I would say the priority between now and the go live is to remain with the scope and the functionalities and make sure that they work as they were planned to work. But of course, indeed, we have to see how we simplify and improve it. I would say possible after the go live in terms of menus and functionalities. So that would be my first reaction at this stage, Eileen.
Super. Thank you, George, for that. So I'm just leaving the email address on here. So in case you guys want to shoot more questions, we're also having a few questions on testing. We're going to hold those because, as I promised at the beginning, we will have a whole session on testing in a minute. Bobby and Bamini is ready here. But before we go there, we also had a number of you ask about the documents that we keep referring to and that we publish on the ECB website. And Audrey already now just said again that we have documents, and we do strongly encourage you to go and check these documents because there's a lot of super valuable information in here. But how do you find them, right? The big question. So today we thought we would just go through, just show you where this golden box on the ECB website is located. So okay, so of course you all have as a favorite ECB homepage saved on your browser. But where you want to go, once you get to the ECB website, you want to hit the button Payments and Financial Stability. You see it here on the slide at the top. Once you mouse over that, you get this drop-down menu. And there you want to go to your favorite target services. And then the next one will pop up to the right. And there you have all the different target services. And you see ECMS as well. But we have a shortcut for you for all your documents. So you just take the last one that says Target Professional Use Documents and Links. And when you click on that, that's when you get to the page where we really store all the information specifically for you guys. And the bottom one here is ECMS, document and links. So if you click on that one, this fantastic page with everything you ever wanted to know about ECMS is located. And here, as a drop-down list, you will see all these different documents with the use test cases and everything that we publish on your regular basis. You will find everything here. So when we are referring to in today's session about documents that will be useful for you, you will be able to find it here. So we just wanted to draw your attention to that before we continue making a reference to this in the slides ahead. So that was just it for me. And also now that I have you, because you know what I always try to market, you guys are interested in what we do. So this is super good. You can follow us on a number of different places, so you get the information firsthand and don't always have to go via the website to find anything that's new. The easy way, depending on what you like, you can also use X. We post stuff on X when we have anything news posted there. You can also follow our LinkedIn group. This is a group under the ECB. So if you look for ECB market infrastructure and payments, or scan the QR code on the screen now. Or finally, we have this newsletter that we send out on a regular basis with the latest news. And here, of course, like the other two places, we also announce events and anything else we do for you guys. So you can get the newsletter if you prefer to receive it as an email. Still a lot of you do, although we keep trying to get you to move into the social media channels. Still, the newsletter is the most useful for most of you, so you can subscribe to that. Again, here, send an email to MIP Events, and we will make sure that that you're on board on the newsletter. So that was just a quick update on that. And with that, I want to move on to the next presentation, which is exactly on the user testing. So for this, I'm super happy to have Bobby and Vamini with me. So I'll hand over to the two of you. Thank you.
Hi guys, can you hear us okay?
We hear you perfectly.
Okay, excellent. Hi everyone, my name is Bobby Bashford. I'm the head of the testing and financial section. We are working very, very hard on ECMS at the moment. You'll hear from Bamini and you'll hear from Anna Isa. Firstly, Bamini related to the user testing. What we are having focus at the moment in user testing is really we have broken the system down into the various domains and we're focusing on certain domains. We're looking very intensely at corporate actions at the moment. We're looking very intensely at open market operations. We're looking very intensely at credit claims. In the chat at the moment, we have discussion. There are some mention about documents where the links are maybe not working any longer. We'll look into this. We will go through all of our documents. The key document at the moment is, of course, the testing conditions document. We would ask you please to pay close attention to this one. It's updated very regularly. It lets you know what the situation is in the test environment related to what defects are there, what restrictions are there, what defects are being fixed, and what the delivery date will be for these. So please, a key document for us is the testing conditions document, and please pay attention to this one. Bamini will go through in this presentation all of our domains. She will tell you what the current status for all of them is. I would just like to say for corporate actions, we had a very large delivery recently, and it seems like this delivery was very successful indeed. We've had a lot of progress in corporate actions, and we see incidents being opened which are more related to knowledge of the system rather than to the functionality not being aligned with the documentation. So I would ask you to please liaise with your CSDs, liaise with your NCB, and continue now that we can move corporate actions to one of these domains that we can assess as stable. For the open market operations, we have had also a successful test. This was performed a couple of weeks ago. We managed to do the full life cycle of our open market operations, for example, the MRO, the LTRO. We have some small restrictions which we plan to have fixed for our next campaign, which is coming up in December. So for this one, we will have fixed the issue related to the US dollar, the issue related to the early repayment of the LTRO, and then we hope to move the open market operations to another one of these domains that we could assess as stable. For credit claims, we're working very intensively on this. We had a delivery this week. We can see already that there has been success and improvement here. We have further delivery coming, and credit claims is another domain that is in focus for us. For the user testing status update that Audreyne already introduced you to, this is a vital tool for us. For those of you who are not submitting your information to your NCB, please, we ask you to do so. It really gives us an overview of how the community is doing, because of course, as the system improves, your view on your ability to go live will also improve. In terms of GUI performance, I think George discussed already with you about the GUI performance. What's important here is to know that there are many steps along the chain to allow you to have a good U2A interaction with the system. We have the system itself, we have the ESMIG, the gateway, you have the NSP, and then of course it moves into your own house as well, if you like. And what we've seen from our experience of the other target services, when we find a solution, quite like what has been found now with Swift, and we will roll out this patch or whatever, this then lays bare perhaps some issues that you might have internally related to firewalls, related to desktops, that maybe you didn't know you had until we were able to give you to ease all the other links on the chain. So I would ask you to check also internally, to send your logs to the NCBs, to make sure that we can check all the way along the chain to see where the problem might be. And then it may be that some of you who have experienced this improvement will need to look no further, but it may be those of you who will now see that perhaps there's something internally that your own IT people can look at to improve your GUI performance. So please liaise with your NCB, open up tickets related to the GUI performance, provide us with the logs, and we can have a look at that. So that's it from me. I would pass to Bamini now. I will maybe intervene once or twice during the presentation, and we will come back, both Bamini and I, later to answer questions. I think there was one question that I might like to actually ask. There was one question from someone who was speaking about if they had already completed the fundamental test cases, did they have any further user testing to do? The fact is that the system is open and will remain open. Please take advantage of this test environment. Please take advantage of the connectivity that we have between T2S and CLM within this pre-production environment that we have. Take advantage of this to do your test cases and maybe to go beyond the fundamental test cases. The fundamental test cases are really only a basis to show that you can use the core functionality or a light version. Please use your own use cases and do your own business model. If you have a light, if you don't have a lot of interaction with the ECMS system, it might be sufficient to have the fundamental test cases. But in reality, I think you can go further and use your own business cases and your own use cases. Everything is there for you in the environment. Any restrictions are described in the testing conditions document. So I'll give the floor to Bamini now, and thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Good morning, all of you from my side as well. So here now we go into the details for functional domain, as we say. And first slide is actually to tell you where we stand. Yeah, Bobby covered it for most of the domains. So I will also be quick then here to, first of all, the domains that we see as stable are on the reference data, access rights, message subscription, marketable assets module, and then cash as collateral. So all these 5 modules have, with respect to the number of issues that are being opened now, there are no restrictions there, and then the end-to-end testing is possible and it's ongoing smoothly. And many of the community have also achieved good test completion rate on these modules based on all these criteria. The Eurosystem have assessed these domains as stable. And now going to the other domains, which are the testing is progressing, and where the objective is for us to reach this same status. Yeah. Hence, if I go for billing, so here, if you see, we know that we're doing it on a monthly basis. Yeah. For the first 2 weeks on every month. Now we focus also on the billing testing. Here it is improved. Yeah, we started from June. Yeah, to do the full end-to-end cycle, and then things have really progressed quite well. And we still do have some issues there. Yeah, but then the end-to-end, yeah, we are progressing really very well. And here again, the objective is to see again in the December cycle if we are able to fix these issues, and then I agree this also as a stable module. So that's the billing, and then on the contingency module where we test the econs too. So here we with the community, we have now performed a test, and the first test is planned to happen on the 12th of December. Now, where the icons will be activated, and then you can do the testing when this is activated. But the Eurosystem level testing on this module or this functionality is being conducted regularly on a monthly basis, and here again the situation is improved quite well. So hence now we are also trying to fix the last few critical issues, and then we foresee to do this test with the full community on 12th December. So for billing and contingency, normally how it goes is when we do the testing in a particular day or a particular window, and then identified issues will be fixed, and then you go ahead and do the next testing in the next day or next window. So this is how it's. You will also see in the next slide. But that's on the billing and contingency. And then for corporate action and credit plan, corporate action Bobby already covered quite well. So we will have next campaign that's starting on the 2nd of December. And now, as I said, then the focus is to get the least other remaining little issues to be fixed, and then to provide you a good software for you to test in this campaign in December. From the last campaign, it was actually successful. The main issues were identified for the reversals and the replacements. Yeah, so this is what we are working on to be assessed and fixed, and then so you can test it end to end. Yeah. For the credit claims, I don't want to repeat. So it's covered. So we are really working with full focus on this module to bring it up to the level of other functional modules. And then for the GCCP, which is Global Credit and Collateral Position module, here again the domain as such has been assessed as stable. Nevertheless, we do have random issues faced on with respect to the pool lock unlock, which is disturbing till the testing for some of the users. It's not fully blocking, but it is still coming up now and then. So hence we are looking to get rid of this issue also, so then it can be fully considered as stable. And then moving to monetary policy operations. So here, the last campaign indeed, was successful for MRO, LTRO, without early repayment. And FTDs, all these went through smoothly. The end-to-end testing was successful. Nevertheless, we identified issues on the non-euros and NTROs with early repayments, and this is what we are working to get fixed and then go to the next campaign. You will see the dates and all in the further slides. And then to the multi-pooling. So here the testing coverage at the Eurosystem level as such is low. Why? Because we do have quite critical issues open, and they are quite blocking as well. Hence these to be fixed, and the objective is for us to get this fixed and then open it for the testing for the Eurosystem in December, and then also if we see it as stable, we would also open it right after to the community as well in December. Then to the pool position and projection. So here the module it's impacted. Pool position report as such is impacted by the operational day issues. But there the workaround is, the workaround is in place for you to proceed with the testing, but the end-to-end testing is impacted, which is what we want to, we want to get rid of the workaround so that the end-to-end testing is agreed, it's performed and it's agreed to be stable. So all these are now ongoing. And then the next module, I jump to the reference data to T2S. So here, the testing coverage before, until let's say mid-October, if you see the testing coverage was still low, because of the focus given to the other modules, so the NCVs also could not do this testing, but now we also have the other dependency with the C2D, where the release testing is ongoing. So because of which the end-to-end testing is not possible. Nevertheless, the provision of data is happening to T2S. It's happening, and then you can do the collateral testing, waterfall testing, and everything. But the end-to-end with the C2D and the provision of eligible assets, this is on hold due to the release testing. at the C2D side, and this is expected to be completed on the 20th of December, and after which then we can resume the end-to-end testing for this module on reference data to T2S. But reference data to TPA is ongoing. Yeah, so this is still not on hold. This is still ongoing. And then the last but one on the statements and reports. So here, so the reports actually I partly covered in the pool position. Yeah. But then with respect to the statements of statement of holding and transaction, so here we have positive feedback from the last campaign, and things are really working well there. So here, hence, if you have not conducted your testing in the last campaign on the statements, we really recommend you to do this test, participate and do this test in the next campaign, which is coming in December. So we can, yeah, confirm, assess the stability as well, and then confirm it for in December. And then the last one, the transversal issue. So here, I covered an operationally. Yeah, so here we do have still have some of the events where we need some manual intervention, and then it's impacted. Yeah, so the stabilization is still not fully achieved on this transversal topic from operational day. And this is, I have to say, really one of the top priority now, yeah, to get this stabilized, because it's not a, as I said, yeah, it's not a separate one. It just has an impact on all the other modules as well during the day and also in the night NTP. So hence we have really a very high priority on all these issues under this item. And here want to cover also NRO. So here the good news is we couldn't open all the screens for NRO until now because it was a critical blocking issues, but then this one was resolved this weekend, the last weekend. So here now we have to take a chance for this week and next week to do the internal testing, and then if things look good, then we will come back to you and communicate via the testing conditions document on when you can start the internal testing for all the screens. Okay, so this.
Sorry, Bhamini, for the NRO, then that means that the people who use the GoSign desktop in the multi-user
yes
can also we'll be giving them the green light for that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. That's it. So yeah, this is
what I'll do, Bhamini, I'll take a couple of questions and then we'll move on to the next one. Yeah.
Sure.
There was a question in the chat. Are changes in the current fundamental test cases expected? There will be no changes, I believe. So I think you can be sure that the package of fundamental test cases that you have, you can be sure to run these cases and to continue in that way. There was a question from the floor as well. We are lacking some visibility on bug fixing dates. What's very important is to keep downloading regularly the testing conditions document. Now, if we do not have a delivery date, we will state it in the document. All, of course, PBIs should be really, all of our defects should be fixed in, at least at the end of the first quarter, but even before that, January, February, really. But if we don't have a delivery date, we have delivery dates for, we have deliveries, we have 2 more before Christmas, and we will be trying to get as many defects into these packages. Please stay close to the testing conditions document so that you can see, and if there is one there that you really want a delivery date for, please speak to your NCB and they can also make a request maybe to prioritize this one or whatever and to see what package it would be in. But please be aware that in the testing conditions document, we're not holding anything back. If we don't have the delivery date, then that's why it's not in the document. But of course, please come then if you see a very important defect that you wish to prioritize, please come to your NCB and represent to them, and that will be they will look at that. Also, what was another question was if there are defects that are not expected to be resolved before the go live. So as you know, in June we have our go live. So every defect that we have now, I fully believe will be fixed before the go live. But of course, what if we open some defects in April or May? then we will prioritize them. Some will be fixed and some will be slated for a release after the go live. This is exactly what we've done in all of our other services. We will ensure that these are non-blocking. We'll ensure that these are ones where we have workarounds, and then we will include it. The testing conditions document, if you like, will become the go live conditions document. And in that document, you will see the restrictions. There will be workarounds if needed, and you will see what defects, PBIs will be included in a post go live release. But more importantly, you will see that the ones which we define as needed for the go live will be included in the go live package. And that's how we're going to deal with that as such. Yeah. There was also a discussion in the chat about the interaction between CLM, T2S, ECMS. This is on a functional level. We have full interaction in our test environments. What we do have is separate service desks at each institution for each of the services. But we're working very hard to integrate these so that we know when the colleagues have to speak to the T2S colleagues, and to make sure the ECMS colleagues might need to speak to the colleagues who work in CLM. They're working closely together. We are integrating this, and you will see when we go live a very integrated, not just at system level, but at service desk level. You will see a very integrated product as well. So we're working very hard on this, and this is something that we want to make clear to you all. Yeah. And then, yes, Bhavani.
I can answer the point on the multi-polling functionality, whether it will be fixed and ready
Yes.
for the econs testing. Yeah, currently, yeah, the issues that I was mentioning are planned for the delivery at the end of this month, the 30th of November. Yes, if the fix is successful, yes, yeah, we can so we are waiting for the fix to be retested in the first week of December, and then yeah, we can give the NCV colleagues green light. But then for you to start your testing, you can talk to your NCV and wait for their green light. Yeah, but that's the objective. Question on the multi-polling.
There's just one thing, Bhavani, they're asking us to speak a bit louder. So,
Okay.
So we'll move on to the next slide and we'll take further questions then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try to be more loud. Okay. So that's on the that's about it. No, those are the questions. Just to on the last question again on the corporate action testing campaign. Yes, indeed. So if we will always give the dates of the campaign also in the testing conditions document. Yeah. So normally you should have this in this testing conditions document. If not, I mean, also you should be receiving this from your NCP. So if you please check the conditions document, and then you should have it for the next upcoming dates. You will see it now in the next few slides. Okay. Okay, so here now coming to this slide, so it might be a little difficult for you to read, but the critical dates of all the campaigns, you will see it clearly in the next few slides. So here the main thing that we wanted to say is the end-to-end testing. You can have a look at this. The end-to-end testing has started for several of the modules. So where we mentioned E2E, that's end-to-end. So we also request you to come on board and do actively the testing, so you can reach the completion as soon as possible. And then if you've finished most of your testing, and then you can come back, wait for the fixes all to be delivered, and then you can plan yourself to be available for all those campaigns that we have marked here. So there in those windows, if you plan to be available and you do the actual testing, participate in the campaign, then this will really be very, very helpful for us to assess the whole module. Yeah, so that's what we would recommend and also request from your side. And if you see, then yeah, the testing is ongoing. We do have bug fixes and the retests happening. So during that period also, you can still continue your testing on the other functionalities. Yeah, so you can continue the testing. You don't have to stop, except for billing and contingency. You don't have to stop your testing for the bug fixes. but for just continue your testing. And the main window also we have the migration testing, so which will be covered by Anna Isa. But then right after the migration testing is finished, testing MT 13, migration testing 13, we have a window of close to 3 weeks called uninterrupted testing. So what do we mean by that is in these weeks, so we really recommend all of you to use this window to perform the regression tests and ensure you don't have any regression issues. And then there in those windows, the deployments, the bug will be happening, but then only on a very minor topics, in a sense, only minor package, on the hot fixes will be happening. So hence that's why we call it as uninterrupted testing. The testing connection with other target services is also always going to be there. Less deployment disturbances, and then of course live timing window, which means then it's similar to the schedule that we apply in production. So all these conditions will be in place in this window. And hence, we would also recommend you to plan in such a way that you participate and you are available there to ensure that there are no regression that you face, before the official end of testing. So that's the main message I wanted to pass here from the planning slide. In the next slide, so here you have the critical dates. So the first one, which is coming soon, is the 20th of December, where we have set the deadline for completion of fundamental test cases on the stabilized module. We discussed in the first slide the modules that are assessed as stable. So there, hence we ask you to focus on this and complete this, and then submit the test outcome to the Central National Service Desk, at your NCP site for these modules. And in case you see some issues that would impact you in reaching the deadline, please contact your NCB as soon as possible. Then the next one, the 17th of January, here we say that it's a completion of the central bank testing. So here the central bank testing is still ongoing for some of the modules. Say, for example, multi-pooling, when it's on the marketable assets, it's still ongoing, and the retesting also is ongoing on the credit claim issues. So those are expected to be resolved, stabilized, and hence we have fixed a deadline for the NCPs to finish the central bank testing by the 17th of January. And the next one that's also important for you is on the 14th of December, where we have set the next deadline for the completion of fundamental test cases for monetary policy operation and statements reports. And then the third, I'll also cover the third deadline for the fundamental test cases. The third one is it's set for the 21st of March. And here we cover credit claims, corrective action, multi-pooling, and billing. So those are the three deadlines for the completion of fundamental test cases. And then going to the live timing testing windows. So here you have you have the dates. You see 4 windows. We have planned 4 windows. When we say live timing, it's where we will apply the schedule as we follow in production, in not only in ECMS, in also T2S, and then also in CLM. We will apply the schedule, and then the communication is expected to happen like in production. So this is the objective, in all the 4 windows that we have planned here. And here, just wanted to also inform you quickly, the info pack that we published yesterday had a different date, but we have updated the date. So the dates you see here are the right ones for the live timing window. Okay.
Sorry, Bamini. So for the info pack, we had a different date, but now the latest info pack is aligned with this one.
Exactly.
So then everyone, just to be clear, if you downloaded the info pack yesterday, And you see this divergence. The new info pack has the correct one, and this is the aligned with this one here, just to be clear. Yeah.
Okay, I'll speak louder. I see this comment in the chat as well. So then the dates, yeah, and then the next another critical date is on the from the 31st March till 4th of April. We have the migration test 13. Yeah. So the details of these tests will be covered by Anaisa. So, but then for you, another big milestone is the 22nd of April. That's the date that we have fixed for the formal completion of the user testing execution. So the status as of that cutoff will be used for the go/no-go assessment and further discussions and on the go-live and planning. Yeah. But then this doesn't mean then the environment will be taken away. We always say this, so the environment is going to be available for you to do testing up until to ensure there is no regression. You can continue your testing. The environment is always going to be available. But this 22nd of April is the formal end for the user testing execution phase. So that's those are the critical dates, milestones. Do we want to take some questions there, Bobby?
I don't see too many more, Bamini. I think we have a lot of them are related to the how to link you to speak up, but also
Can I come in, Bobby? Can I come in quickly? Because we still have a few people who ask about our fantastic documents and where they can be found. Okay, so let's just show that one again, because you guys do great documents. You just referred to them. So it's really these user condition, testing condition document, right? That document is also here. So again, on the payments, target services, target professional use. This is the place you go. If you click here, you get to the page on ECMS, and then the next page, that's where you will see these documents. And some of you then said, oh, but some documents are missing. No, they're not missing. What we do is that we always have the latest document available for you on the website. So when we upload a new one, the old one disappears, because we want you to be, up to date on what are the current, right? So here you can always go. So save this as a, as a favorite in your browser, so you can really go to this place, because the colleagues do a big effort here to always have these documents up for you, so that you can see where we stand, right? I mean, it just because a lot of people are asking that question. So again, this is the place. Memorize it, and then you can always come back to that place. And also, a few of you are asking already now, when are you doing the next session? we will be doing focus sessions as often as we see that is useful for you guys. So again, fill in the summary at the end of it, and follow the LinkedIn group here. We will announce when we do other sessions. We do announce anything that's new. We can also do updates here for you guys on what's happening in the testing environment, and share links with you. So really, all this can be done. So share your feedback with us. We are there to support you. So that was just a quick one for me, but back to you, Bobby and Bamini.
Yeah.
And maybe just, sorry, Bamini, I'll just take one or two more. There was a question related to the fundamental test cases about should all test cases be conducted by all counterparties? This is really where you liaise with your NCB, because, it may be that your business model doesn't include certain domains, and I'm sure your NCB will be able to go through this with you, and might be able to discuss whether you would need to do these test cases or not. I think this is a very important point, and this is where you must be close to your NCB and to do it this way. And as Ellen said, also when we're sending the links to the documents, it's important on the web page we will be updating, so the link might become redundant. For that reason, do exactly what Ellen says and look on the web page and use the menus in order to find what you're looking for. Yeah, so that's really I think that. So let's move on, Bamini, to the community testing.
Yeah. Just only one question from, I think, from Mar, or on the live timing testing window. There's a possibility to do a fifth window. Yeah, I mean, in May, no, we have this request received, so we are assessing, yeah, if it is could be done. Okay, so that's it's still under assessment and approval, and then we can confirm. But right now, these 4 windows are confirmed. Yeah. Now, going to this slide. So here, yeah, you have the summary, you know, of whatever we were talking too much in details per module. So here to summarize the points. So basically now colleagues and all of you can do the testing, functional testing, end-to-end testing for all the modules until we start with the testing, migration testing 13. So that's when you will not be, I know, able to do, because the environment will be used for migration testing activities. So until then, so hence we recommend all of you to do the end-to-end testing and also be available for all the campaigns. And then on all from now also, yeah, we have the interconnection always available for with T2S, target to securities, and CLM, the central liquidity management. So this is good news. And yes, so we're saying, so except for multi-pooling, where we are still doing the Eurosystem level testing. So apart from that, all the modules are available for you for testing. Nevertheless, we always advise you to wait for the green light from your respective NCBs. We also covered the reference data, provision of reference data, and relocation of marketable assets. So this is, as I said, it's just right now on hold due to the dependency with the CII2D, but then it will resume soon. Okay, that's the summary. And we can go to the next slide where we have the dates for each of the campaigns. So for the first one, the open market operation. So here, as of now, we have planned 4 testing windows. Yeah. So you see the dates. The next one is coming soon. The next week, it starts from Monday next week. So and we are working, yeah, now focusing and trying to fix the last minute issues. So you can do the testing from next week. So that's the first one. So in all these modules, the objective is all these window. Yeah, the objective is the same. Yeah. Mainly for the November, December to assess the software stability. Yeah. So so that's the first thing. And then sorry, the scope is the same. Yeah, the scope is the same. Yeah, correct. That's the LTRO, MRO, US dollars, the non-euro operations, and the early repayments on the LTRO, and of course the FTDs. So all are going to be tested in all the 4 windows. And in addition, if any specific tests could be done, then we can see do the feasibility to include this. But these, with respect to the scope, they are going to be the same. But now coming to the objective, with respect to the objective, now the November, December cycle that we're going to do, from next week. Here, the objective is to assess the software stability for this module, to see if its software is good and end-to-end testing is going on smoothly. Yeah, and then at the end of the campaign, we will see if we can confirm that this module is stable, or do we need further actions to be done. So this is would be the main objective. And from the January modules, January window is performed to is set to perform the retesting of all the solved defects that we have identified now. If we have identified something new in this campaign to be conducted next week, then we can fix this up before the next campaign in January, and then you can ensure that there is no regression also. Yeah. So that's the objective of the January one. And the one that we have now marked in the plan for March, we have marked as optional. Yeah. Which can be activated based on how the testing is going on in this year, in November, December, and then in January. So, but we have already planned it, but we can activate it or not activate it can be decided by the Eurosystem, and will be communicated to you via the testing conditions document and from your NCB. And the last one we have is in April 2025. This is the window where we say the non-interrupted testing window, right, that you saw in the plan before. So this is the window that we will also use to do another end-to-end non-regression test OMO campaign. So these are the four windows, and the objective for each of the window is as such. So we can go to the next slide. Yeah, here on the corporate action. So we had, as I said, we had just finished one campaign in the, by the mid of November, but then we have scheduled one to start from the 2nd of December. Yeah, so there again, the focus would be to retest all the issues fixed. And then to ensure also the stability is maintained. From the last campaign, it was very good, and we could also already say that we can reach the objective of reaching the stability by end of this year. But we can confirm this also after this campaign in December. Yeah. So that's the first one. And then we have the next one. We have also planned in February. That's, yeah, as you see the date, that's from 10th February till 28th February. Can you go up? We are still on the corporate action. Can you go to the previous slide? So we are with, yeah. So here the timeline and the scope. What I wanted to say is, of course, and for all the campaign, the scope is for all the users to focus and do their end-to-end testing for the full scope of corporate action, because the scope is available for you to do end-to-end testing. And then here, one point, what we wanted to also mention here is for the counterparties, when you want to do CCPM test, we advise you to always contact your home central bank. So to get the test data that you can use for the CCPM testing, and then yeah, always contact your home central banks, and then you can proceed further with your testing. Yeah. This is the communication channel that we really recommend you to follow. Okay, please.
Yeah, this is vital, Bamini. After the deliveries that we've had now, we should be able to see the non-mandatory. We should be able to see the more complicated cases, and this is the time for you now to get in touch with your NCB or with your home central bank in terms of these CCBM cases, and then to be able to progress with your cross-border testing. So this is a very important. The entry criteria is there now, so please commence this.
Exactly. And to quickly to the objective, as I said, it's the same as for what we said for OMO. So here for the December cycle, we objective is to assess the software stability. And then from February, one is organized primarily to retest all the defects, solve defects, and then to ensure non-regression part of it. And then, yeah, so these two are the main objective here. And we can go to the next slide on the statements and reports. So here, the timeline you see here for the next campaigns. And then here, the scope passage, yeah, for the NCBs and the counterparties to focus on the testing of the full scope for the statements and reports in both the window. And for us, and for the objective for this campaign is basically also similar to the previous two. For the December one, we objective for us is to fix all the issues and for you to test it, and then at the end of it to assess if we have reached the stability for statements and reports. So there's a typo there, sorry about that. And then for the January and February campaign, of course, to retest and to ensure that there are no regression issues. So that's similar to what we discussed for the corporate action. And that's about that. Those are the critical dates for and the different campaigns that we have organized for the different functional modules. And the last slide here we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so here you see the link to the different key documents that are for the relevant for the user testing. So here you also see the testing conditions link to the testing conditions document. We published one version yesterday, and then the next one is foreseen to be published on the 3rd of December. We take note of your comments to include the delivery. I mean, we do include it as and when we have it, so we can check again and to enrich the document further. That's it from my side.
So I'll just take one more question, Bamini, that was in the chat, was about the time period related to testing. So as Bamini already said, we have a formal end of testing. I think it's the 22nd of April. And this is where we make our cutoff for our reporting in order to let the MIB know if the software is of sufficient quality for go live. But for you as testers, you can continue to test. We will disconnect nothing, everything. You can continue to test your own scenarios right up to go live and even afterwards, because we will straight away move in the test environment onto the testing for the next release. So for those of you, let's say you will have the user testing status update. There will be a final one as such, and you will give your information that your NCB requires from you around this April period, probably mid-April or whatever, so that it feeds in to the formal end of testing on the 22nd of April. But you continue to test and you have the full ability to test. So this is really the most important thing that you need to know. Great.
All right, excellent, Bobby and Bamini. Super. So we're just going to show this one in case you have more questions. You're bombarding us with questions, so it's really good. I know this is a lot of content, so Bamini just put through a lot of slides here. Remember, everybody, all the slides, the recording, everything will be available on the website after the event, so you can go back and view it. Maybe before we move on to the next, everyone just get up a little bit, shake yourself, do 5 squats so that we are ready for the last part, because we have one more presentation we want to go through today. So we just want, the blood to keep flowing here. There's a lot, it's a lot of stuff coming in, we know. So the last one that we will be going through is the preparation for migration. And we want to bring in Anissa. She is also with us. Yep, we have her here. So Bobby, you're staying on, but I want to bring you in as well. So super, thanks for joining, Anissa. And then I'll bring over to you first, so you can start off with migration.
Sorry, Ellen, I'll just do a very short intro.
Excellent, Bobby. Go ahead.
So yeah, Anissa will go through, of course, all of the preparation. She has quite a lot of content for you. What's very important, I think, from our side is, in the same way that we're focusing on certain domains, we're focusing on migration testing. And we had a very successful migration test 11 in September. It's important to note that we are confident now in our ability to launch the system on the go live. This is very, very important for you to know. We have still further iterations coming. We have further migration dress rehearsals, migration weekend dress rehearsals to come, but we did manage to have a very, very good migration test 11. The interaction between the service desks and the community, the interaction between the service provider and the Eurosystem was very, very good indeed. We took confidence from this, and we expect to take further confidence from the future tests. And Isa will go through the content with you, and she will show you now what you can do in order to be ready for these tests and to ensure that our confidence increases. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me quite clearly. So I have the last leg of this race today, and it's with the migration. So first of all, just to let you know on the migration status, we have a few slides. We can quickly go to the next one. Thank you. I think this is a very familiar diagram at this point. It's pointing out the journey in the migration for prod. We always had these seven critical steps.
As you can see now, we've kind of put in a gray color the ones that relate to all of the tasks that have been completed up to this point. And we are on this little orange dot there, somewhere in between step 5 and step 6. So we are right at the start of the preparation week and the migration weekend. And basically it means we have completed all of the connectivity testing, and the pre-migration phase is also considered completed. It finished on the 20th of September in the former plan. The connectivity, and maybe referring a bit to one of the questions we had in the chat, if the CSTs were also connected, we can inform that the CSTs have also completed successfully their connectivity testing to the ECMS. The question referred also if this means that the CST testing tools are available. It might not necessarily mean the same, so we advise you to check with your CST if they would be available for testing, of course. But we can confirm that all CSTs, as all NCBs, and even all the close monitored actors, in this case mostly counterparties, are all successfully connected to all of the environments, including the testing and of course the prod environment as well. And even for the other actors, we have a high percentage of completeness on the connectivity. And maybe here I can take already the one step forward and ask the few of you that have not completed your connectivity in prod, please reach out to your NCB on how to achieve that. We have some more information today here on the slides about that, but of course, as you will see, it always involves your NCB. So we will urge everyone that has not connected yet in prod to also reach out to your NCBs. But there we are here on in an intermediate step. We were supposed to advance to preparation week. Of course, as you know, with the delay, this is no longer the case. But we have also completed the pre-migration phase theoretically. So we are here a bit, we'll have a stop where kind of works on the road here in our journey, and we will need to make some other steps in order to carry on the journey, and this is what we will present to you today. So this is where we are in prod. In the next slide, we have a bit on the testing. I will not go too much into detail, but because also Bobby and I think George have already reflected on this. But so far, we did have two dress rehearsals that took place for the preparation week and the migration weekend. Dress rehearsals, this was test 9 and test 11. And test 11 showed really great improvement after test 9. Test 9 was until end of June. Test 11 was now close to the end of September. And we could now, and as Bobby said, we can reassuredly from the experience in test 11 say that the migration activities can take place within the defined time frame, which is something very good. It means our playbook is feasible. And this is great news. Of course, there are still some issues faced, but namely related to the software, but also the quality of the data available in the U-test, which is this pre-production environment, sometimes causes some issues on the results. Nevertheless, we have these reassurance. So in terms of the migration test, the last one was quite successful and provides good news for the future. So if we go to the next slide, we want to kind of, in a short slide, provide you what are the consequences of this new go live date on the migration. We separated into productivities and migration tests. Of course, for the production activities, as it could be imagined, the preparation week and the migration weekend needs, of course, to be updated in terms of timeline. It cannot be the same timing because we do have a new go live. And I think this was already shared in the key milestones that Audrey covered in the beginning of this session today. But basically, the migration weekend will be the weekend before the go live, so the 14th and 15th of June.
And then the preparation week are the 2 weeks in advance of that, leading up to the migration weekend. So these are, of course, then now the first 2 weeks of June, leading up to the go live. Another consequence here for the productivities, and as we could see in the journey, we were supposed to finish the pre-migration phase and then move on to the preparation week a few weeks after. Now we have the go live in June, and the pre-migration was finished on the 20th of September. As you would imagine, the pre-migration being a phase where we set up the reference data, it would be too long between the 20th of September and the go live in June to have the reference data untouched, let's put it like this, on the ECMS. So this is not really feasible. Plus, there could also be new actors, new counterparties joining in the meantime, so other changes. So in view of this, it was decided to have this so-called pre-migration window 2, which in the end is just an extension of this pre-migration phase, but conscripted to start and an end date. The idea here is to have the NCBs and other actors have the capacity to do any updates to the reference data that is required, but also in case you did have leftovers from the actual pre-migration phase, in the case of the counterparties, you had to set up your own users and review the registration form data that your NCB set up for you. You would now have the chance to complete these leftovers. We will discuss it a bit more later, but this pre-migration phase 2 or window 2, the goal is really to allow time and of course the capacity for everyone to keep the reference data updated in the ECMS prod environment up to the go live. Another thing that happened in the prod environment, this is already something that has been executed, but it's for your information. We had a freeze of the prod environment. This happened after the pre-migration phase ended, and this was really the goal was to protect the environment in order to allow us time to investigate what would be the consequences and possible changes needed due to this new go live date. So with this in mind, we froze the environment. We have on the next slide some more information on what this freeze means. So I will stop it here a bit. But yeah, for the prod activities, the main consequences are, of course, the adaptation of the timeline in our journey. We will have then this extension of the pre-migration phase, and then we have momentarily the freezing of the environment until we could identify all of the consequences. For the migration tests, we have, of course, the postponement of the optional test, which is the remaining test we had on the migration side in the previous plan. So previously in October, it was, of course, postponed, and it will be now MT14 from the 5th to the 11th of May. And this is, of course, an optional test. As an optional test, it will only be triggered in case of need. So basically, if our actual test in new test, which is test 13, will be considered not enough to validate the migration, then we would have this optional test in May. The additional test that we have planned then, because we had only test 11, and even though it was quite satisfactory, there are still things to be checked. And of course, with all of the testing ongoing, there could be, other impacts, because for the migration, we do rely substantially on the existing functionalities of the ECMS. So with that in mind, it's quite important that we have another test to check if everything is working as expected. And so we have this additional test in new test environment, test 13, which is currently planned for the 31st of March to the 6th of April. Being that it's a dress rehearsal, it will be executed on the weekend, and we also have more details on this in the end. There is also another test before that, but it's in EAC, so it will not impact the counterparties. It's a test for the NCBs, CSTs, and TPAs. And this is test 12, planned between the 17th and the 23rd of February, but we have also more details on that in the end. So this grossly are the consequences. And in the next slide, we explain a bit about this freezing on the prod environment. So, and the consequences. As some of you may be aware, probably you noticed this when you were last in the prod environment during the pre-migration phase. We have the business state of the ECMS in prod set up into the future. Previously, it was set up for the start of the preparation week, which was the 4th of November at the time. But now, of course, because the preparation week has shifted, we also have to shift the business day in ECMS. So we have now currently the prod date in ECMS set up to the 2nd of June, which is the start of the preparation week. The freezing of the environment also removed the counterparty access because we wanted to, as we mentioned, to reduce any type of consequences to the environment. So the counterparty access was removed both in U2A and A2A. And we also closed the queues to and from the ECMS, really in order to kind of isolate the environment of the ECMS in prod and make sure nothing would take place. This means we also have to unfreeze the environment, and this unfreeze of the environment is what marks the start of this pre-migration window 2 that we were discussing, and this is foreseen for January 2025 for the NCB users. The counterparty user reactivation and their access to the environment is planned for the 3rd of March 2025. Currently, this is what is foreseen. The NCBs will be able to confirm this around December 2024. We are finalizing the details and the schedule, and hopefully by December the NCBs can confirm this. But the idea is that the counterparties would be then reactivated in 2025. The access would be only in U2A for you to create the users and etc. But the queues will remain closed. So technically, this is the consequence of the freeze and what was changed in the ECMS. No other changes were detected as needed currently to the reference data or otherwise. So I mean, in terms of a direct consequence of the new go live date change. This is the main consequence. If we move to the next slides, then we enter really, then what's next? What are the next steps for you? And in this case, we start with the production environment. So what are these next steps for the migration in prod? As we mentioned, on the 6th of January, there will be the unfreeze of the environment. Basically, the pre-migration window 2 starts, and this includes the unfreeze, but for the 4CB and the NCB. The completion of the leftovers from step 2 or updates required to the reference data. Again, this is focused for the 4CB and the NCBs from the 6th January onwards. From the 3rd of March, then it's when the counterparties will regain access, let's say, to the environment, and they can start their activities as part of the pre-migration tool. Of course, this is 3rd of March is the goal date. Please always wait for the green light of your NCB to start the activities. The activities to be executed are very similar to what you had in your pre-migration phase. So basically the step 5 that was in the journey, we also have it in the next slide, the details. But what is expected of you is that, of course, you set up any remaining users you might have, or you update the existing users, because as we explained, the environment was frozen on the 20th of September until the 3rd of March. You might have users that are no longer a user for you, or that require new roles, or you have new users. So that's what you should aim to do, is this maintenance of your reference data. Also, check the registration data form, data from the form, and make sure that it's up to date. In this meantime, if you have any change to your reference data that you had previously submitted in your registration form, ideally you should submit a new registration form to your NCB so that they can take care of updating the data as from January already. So please make sure that you keep your reference data up to date by informing your NCB of any changes. Here, additionally, what we would like to also reinforce is, even though counterparties will gain access to the ECMS, from the 3rd of March. It's really important that you refrain from doing any other activities besides creating the users and checking the data. Please do not create any instruction or message in U2A or A2A to the ECMS. This is quite important. Even though the queues are closed, we don't want these instructions or messages to be stuck in the ECMS, creating some type of, let's say, data that is unwanted. So please do refrain from setting up, creating any, to create any message or sending any message instruction to the ECMS randomly. As you will see next, if there is a need to do some type of A2A connectivity testing, which should be the case only for new counterparties anyways, but if there is a need, you do have the opportunity to discuss it with your NCB and the specific slot will be set up. But it's really, really important that you restrict your activities in the prod environment to what is requested of you. And in this case, it's really just the setup of the users and checking if the remaining of the data matches what you had informed your NCB in the registration form. So with that advice, I think we can move to the next slide. As I mentioned here, it's just the details of this setup of reference data from the counterparty. I will not go into the details we've explained. You have there the key documents. The period will be then the month of March, as we explained. And this is basically just a continuation of whatever you had already been doing during the pre-migration phase. So also in prod, and it's the next slide, we wanted to bring here something that has been a question. We have been discussing it with the NCBs too, which is the freezing periods and cutoffs, which maybe you can move to the next slide, please. Yes. So what are these freezing periods and cutoffs? I think last time in the last focus session, we've also hinted at this, but there was no specific slide. So we wanted to bring it back here because it's quite important for the production activities. Certain types of, so the objective of the migration is that we are migrating or creating in the ECMS the data that is in the local CMSs, reference data, but also transactional data. And we need to be ready for these on Friday before the go live. We need to be ready to migrate the remaining of the transactional data. So it's quite important that somehow there are some cutoffs or freezing periods to certain types of data in order for us to maintain the ECMS up to date. So with that in mind, we can kind of group these cutoffs in four. So for the onboarding of new counterparties, here for this particular case, of course, the assessment is always on the side of the NCB, if and when can a counterparty join or not. Ideally, we would propose there is no new counterparty registered after the 30th of March of 2025. This is, of course, to do with the fact that our pre-migration window finishes by then, and then it would be quite complex to execute, for example, connectivity testing, or even for the counterparty to access the environment and do any changes. So this is ideally, but it's not a clean cut. As we mentioned, the assessment is by the NCB. Any new counterparty will be provided a connectivity testing slot. For U2A, this is of course available from the moment that the counterparty access is provided in ECMS, which would be from the 3rd of March. And then for A2A, this would need to be arranged. The specific slot would need to be arranged with the NCB. So we would ask the counterparties to check with your NCBs for these slots. Then it of course needs to be checked with the 4CB and the ECB, because we need to provide the necessary conditions for this A2A window to be provided. So onboarding of new counterparties, assessment by the NCB, but we would like to refrain to have any new counterparties after the 30th of March. The reference data. The reference data period setup is during the pre-migration phase. So, of course, the data should be frozen as of that stage, ideally. But we know that there could be slight updates necessary in the meantime. These updates can still be made by the NCB up to the start of the migration weekend, so on the 13th of June, so really the last moment in time. Any data can still be updated by the NCBs. So this is still possible, but ideally there is this cutoff. So we would also urge you, counterparties, in case you want to make any change to your data, please inform your NCBs before the 30th of March so that they can make these changes in time. Now moving from the reference data to transactional data, we have 2 points. We have the credit claims and we have the marketable assets instruction. So for the credit claims registration, there should be a cutoff, but this is defined at NCB level. It may vary from NCB to NCB depending on the scenario at national level. However, we have a recommendation to prevent new credit claims from being registered after Thursday, the 12th of June. This is in order to provide the NCBs enough time to mimic the registration of the credit claim in the ECMS. And also, as you know, the NCBs will provide to the counterparties a match between the old credit claim ID and the new credit claim ID that is provided by the ECMS. So in order for this to be done in time, really this credit claim registration should be no later than the 12th, so that the NCB has time to reconcile the IDs and provide also this information to the counterparties, and the counterparties have time to make any adaptations in their own system. For the marketable asset instructions, domestic instructions cutoff are defined at the NCB level. For domestic instructions, we mean for the assets that are issued by the CSD at national level. This you should check with your NCB if there is any cutoff that applies or not. For the CCBM instructions, meaning the cross-border instructions under the CCBM module, we have specific cutoffs to be applied on the Friday before the go live weekend, so the 13th of June. And these specific cutoffs are on the next slide, if we can quickly move through. What are these specific cutoffs for the cross NCB or cross-border marketable asset instructions? So as you know, the CCBM model already has specific cutoffs on a day-to-day basis. But for the Friday, we need to slightly adjust this in order to make sure that all instructions are, settled or cancelled in time. And because of that, then we anticipated a bit the cutoff. So at 12 CET, all the times are CET, Central European Time. At 12, there will be the cutoff for the reception of the counterparty instruction. So at the latest by 12, your instruction needs to be at the home central bank's system. Then at 12:30, it's the cutoff for this cross-border instruction to be sent from the home central bank system to the correspondent central bank system. And then until 2, all these cross-border instructions need to be either settled, rejected, or cancelled in both the systems for the home central bank and the corresponding central bank. So really at 2, all instructions should be settled, rejected, or cancelled. Because as we mentioned, we want to avoid situations where we have pending instructions at the end of the day that cannot be migrated to the ECMS or will need to be cancelled last minute. So here it's really to be a bit more, to take action in advance to avoid issues later. So please respect these cutoffs. If you have doubts, reach out to your NCBs for further explanation. As we mentioned, these are the only ones that will be applied across markets because, of course, it's involving the cross-border instructions. So we need to make sure it's the same for everyone. For the other types of data, there is more flexibility, or there could be different deadlines, cutoffs set up by your national central bank. So please reach out to your national central bank in case of doubts for these freezing periods and cutoffs. Good. So here we finish the prod activities and what's to come, and now we move to the testing, migration testing activities. So if we go to The first slide here, you will see the dates of the tests. These, sorry for the yellow part, this is because we were still last minute updating the info pack. So you see on the side note, this table is the same table you have in the info pack, not the one published on the 23rd of May, but the one that was published yesterday, as it was mentioned by different colleagues in the course of this session. The test 12, we put it there, but of course, these you do not have in the info pack because it does not concern you. It's for NCB, CSTs, and TPAs. But focusing on the tests that are referring to the counterparties. Test 13, as we mentioned, will be again a preparation week dress rehearsal and the migration weekend dress rehearsal. The preparation week dress rehearsal part, it's only for NCBs and TPAs. And it will be from the 31st of March to the 4th of April. Then NCBs, CSTs, and TPAs are involved during the weekend part from the 4th of April to the 6th of April. So starting on Friday at the end of the day until Sunday, the 6th of April. So it will be, as it is a dress rehearsal, it will be during the weekend. And then for the counterparties, we've highlighted it a bit in orange to pop out. But for the counterparties, your involvement, if there will be an involvement, as we will see in the next slide, will be only on Sunday, the 6th of April. For test 14, it's very similar in terms of the actors' involvement. What changes are the dates. And as I mentioned, test 14 is optional, will only be triggered if necessary, if considered that the test 13 is not sufficient for the MIB, the Market Infrastructure Board, to take a decision on the go or no go of the ECMS. So, and since test 13 is, as you can see, first week of April, the go no go decision is, I think, beginning of May. There will be enough time immediately after test 13 to understand if the results are enough or not to trigger the need of having the test. So we should have a decision quite soon after test 13 if test 14 is activated or not. What we wanted to highlight, because maybe it was not so clear previously, we have the dates of the tests, and the dates of the tests are the ones you see on the screen. Nevertheless, there is always something more involved in the test. Prior to the migration test, we need to prepare the environment. I think this is it's part of the strategy document. But we need, for example, to take a snapshot of the environment, and then we also need to execute a cleanup, because in the end, we want to migrate transactional data. We need to make sure the environment is at the same conditions as we will have in prod, where no transactional data is in the system, for example. So for that, we call this the preparation of the environment. Usually takes around 1 day or less, and we take the day prior to the start of the test, and this may mean that the environment is unavailable for a period of time, usually the afternoon of the day. So for test 13 on the Friday the 28th of March, and for test 14 it would be the 2nd of May, where the environment might not be available. And then after each of the tests, after the go live, after the test, we mimic the after go live, and it's what we usually call the post migration. And usually this lasts for 2 days. So the 2 days after the migration test is finished, the Monday and the Tuesday, we will be monitoring the environment. Everyone will be monitoring the environment as if we were in prod. So the environment in this case is available for testing. We even encourage testing because we want to make sure the environment is working, and we want to assess it really as if we were in production. So in this case, the environment is available, but there is a bit more of monitoring, and this is what we call the post-migration. We just wanted to highlight it here because I think in the past we were never so clear. Just to highlight, there is also a question in the chat if the optional test 14 is by country or an ECB decision. At the moment, the triggering or not of the test is a decision of the Eurosystem, which means the ECB and the NCBs, to be taken, I guess, by the Market Infrastructure Board, the MIB. What could be then assessed, depending on the situation, is if the participation of all is needed or only certain users. But we always go from the principle that the test would be activated for everyone at this moment in time. Okay. Just I hope that was quite clear. So if we move to the next slide, what is the counterparty involvement in the tests? Test 12, of course, no involvement, just to refer that again. Test 13 and test 14, the main actors are the NCBs and the 4CB. And then CSC and TPA have some activities and will also then take part of the test for those specific activities. The involvement of the counterparties really depends on what the NCB requires of their community. And in this case, it should mimic whatever your NCB will ask of you in production. So depending on what your NCB requests of you in production, this should be what is mimicked in test 13 and test 14. Here, there is no particular activities for the counterparties, let's say, that is really necessary. So it's more depending on what your NCB sees as needed of you. So counterparty users are deactivated after the pre-migration, and then will be reactivated only during the weekend, at the end of the pre-migration weekend. Reactivation of the users will occur on the Sunday around 7 a.m. This is what is in the schedule. Of course, we can have delays or not, depending on how the execution of the migration is going. But so this is, again, what we'll mimic in the test. We have counterparties deactivated and then reactivated at the end of the migration weekend. So it could be that your NCB asks you to enter the ECMS on Sunday, check if you have access, but it can also be that they don't request this of you, or that they ask you other things. This is also possible. For example, that you generate a specific report to see if it's working. So this is totally up to the discretion of each of the NCBs, if they see needed or not to request this of you. And so it should be communicated to you by your NCB if they will expect you to do this in prod, and then if they would expect you to do this in test 13 and test 14. So involvement of the counterparty in the test will be decided at national level, depending on the needs at each NCB. Hopefully your NCBs will communicate this to you quite soon. What is important to notice is always these activities are based on a green light from your NCB, even during the weekend. So if your NCB asks you to do something, wait for the green light and then take the action. Don't enter the environment early. Don't try to do any of this, because it can have, other consequences, and it can also be that the NCBs are focused on still doing the migration, and then this could be a bit detrimental. So this is first and foremost the information on your involvement. Another thing that's important to refer, even though it's not an action in the ECMS, but it is something that comes out of the preparation week and the migration weekend. The NCBs will migrate the transactional data, which includes the credit claims. The part that simulates the registration of the credit claim will happen during the preparation week. And by doing so, the ECMS will attribute a new credit claim ID to the credit claims. So the NCBs will provide to their counterparties a correspondence between the old ID of the credit claim and the new ID of the credit claim that was generated by the ECMS. This activity will take place at the end of the preparation week, so around Thursday, Friday, in production, so the 12 and 13 of June. So during tests 13 and 14, because we are doing a preparation week dress rehearsal, these activities will also take place. So for those of you that use credit claims, this will be an activity for which you will be involved. But again, it's nothing related directly to the ECMS. You're not expected to enter the ECMS. All of this information will be provided to you by your NCB bilaterally. So I think this, in terms of tests, this was it. And production, we just wanted a last reminder here. I think we have it also from the last focus session. It is really important that counterparties, and I mean all actors, we signal here counterparties specifically because it's I think the majority of the participants here in the session, but please do respect the execution of the migration the migration activities in prod or in test activities by only executing the activities that were requested from you execute the activities at the time requested, and respecting the environment availability. So this is again to refer to during the migration test. Please respect that the environment is available only for the migration test and not for the user testing. So don't try to do other activities. Don't do other things like sending instructions or trying to create instructions via the GUI in the ECMS in prod or during any of the migration tests, because that was not asked of you. So please really do take these warnings to mind. There are impacts when certain activities are done in the ECMS out of the time frame they were that we are, or the environment availability. So it's really important that for us during the migration tests to validate the strategy for production, that we do it as we expect in prod. And similarly, unwanted activities in prod can also have effects prior and after the go live. So please refrain from doing these type of things. When in doubt, please reach out to your NCB to ask if you can or not do a certain activity. So I think that was it from my side.
Thank you, Anissa, for holding the ball here to the very end of the session. So super good. So we will just leave the email address on here. So people, if they have questions on migration, it's now or never. No, it's not never. You can always ask questions both to us and to the NCB, as Anissa just said. But we have a few questions that have popped up on the testing. So we're just gonna pop back down to the slide. So we're now gonna answer a few more questions on testing just to keep everyone in the focus here. There's a lot of stuff going on. We know busy morning, but if I can bring back Bobby and Bamini here for a few questions. There's a number of questions on the fundamental test cases and also on the U2A accounting reports. So Bamini, Bobby, do you want to just pick up on a few questions here?
Yes, Eileen. Yeah, I could take the question on the FTC first. So yes, yeah, indeed, we do have 3 deadlines for the fundamental test cases. Why? Because to allow also the full community to focus on one module and then finish it off and then go to the next one. So this is primarily the objective to also to help you for your focus. Yeah, and that's the reason then we have 3 deadlines for the FTC. That's the first one. And the second one was on the U2A accounting reports. To answer that, no, this will not be available for the testing window in December, but we are aiming to provide this for the January 1. Yeah, so that's on the accounting reports. So those 2, and then there's another one probably on the May, no? Yeah.
I think one important point, Ellen, is that Anissa was speaking about sending instructions to the system. So during our migration tests, we really ask everyone not to send any noise, any instructions, BAU instructions during the migration test. This is very important. And then even more important is not to send any instructions in production from the 3rd of March on the slide that you said. Please check this. Please, everyone, this has been a very rich and this focus session has been full of content. Please download the slides, please go through them, and please listen back as well, because maybe you missed some things. It was really coming thick and fast. So please feel free to take some time. It would be worth it, I think. There was one question about the migration test 14, and Isa, I think, explained it very well, but I'll just give my opinion here. The migration test 14, the planning is certainly during certain holiday periods. It's certainly quite awkward. The reality is, for me, just a personal opinion, is that we had a migration test 9, we had a migration test 11, which improved upon each other. And my expectation is the migration test 13 will once again improve on that, and that we, the Eurosystem, would hopefully make the decision not to activate the migration test 14 and to be able to use the time that we would have dedicated to that test for testing instead of for migration testing. So our ambition is not to have the migration test 14 at all, but please, in your planning, please have your staff ready as if it would take place, and then hopefully we will not activate it. Hopefully we will not have to carry out this test, but that is the way I see it going. But of course, we are central bankers, we're risk averse. We will, if the need is there, the NCBs within the governances will decide at the Market Infrastructure Board level and at the working group level, perhaps to activate this if needs be, but it will be a question of balancing the risks. Do we need to have it? Do we perhaps lose some testing time? This is all the things that they will take into account. So a very strong, successful MT13 is what we want. Please, everyone, participate in this test, and then this will take care of the issue of the migration test 14. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bobby. So I think this closes the testing and migration part. Again, as Bobby said, heavy content today. We know we're cutting up the material so you can go directly to the individual parts that will be uploaded on the website. And here you can just really go back and deep dive into that content that maybe was specifically important for you right now. And then if there's something that comes later, you can go into that. So we really do try to help you there with how we place it on the website. So use the information there. We will be sharing this afterwards as well. So thanks to the team. And then I just want to bring George back in to wrap up before we close. So George, over to you.
Thank you, Eileen. Well, quite an impressive session, I have to say. I just want to start by reiterating the fact that the successful rollout and go live of ECMS is of utmost priority for the Eurosystem, and we should even have said that the Governing Council really is monitoring the progress very frequently and with attention. So a key message to you is continue engaging with your NCBs in the testing and migration activities. And I have to say, from the level of detail of the questions I have seen today in the chat, also I would say the way the questions are managing the acronyms, all these acronyms, it shows that there is a lot of engagement, and this goes in the right direction. I want to pick up a few points very briefly, which are quite important as conditions, I would say, for the successful outcome of the coming testing activities. The GUI user interface performance, we need to reiterate, please, as soon as possible, reach out to your NCBs with the specific experiences you have. If you still have problems after the Swift deployment, and we'll try also from the coordinating, I would say, central ECB team to support the NCB in the market here. On the credit claims, and I think we spoke a lot about that in this session, these are, I would say, more specific assets or monetary policy indeed, go beyond the standards, let's say, debt instruments. And you have been asking questions, you've been asking perhaps for even dedicated focus session. I would say, due to the national specificities, if I may say so, again, the message from us is please liaise with your national NCB. We will pick it up in the ECMS governance. If needed, we need to discuss with the NCBs, of course, and we may need to organize a workshop on that. Point well taken. I think, Eileen, you covered, and the colleagues, on the need to visit the professional pages on our website, and the testing condition document is an important vehicle and tool to identify future releases, especially of the PBIs. That was a very good question, and thank you for that. Looking forward, we mentioned, and I think many colleagues mentioned that the migration testing optional cycle 14 remains to be seen. it will be activated, and this, I would say, this is an ECMS governance and MIB decision. We will inform you as soon as we have further information on that. And also on the need for an additional, I would say, generic focus session. My expectation is that we should have one for sure before they go live in 2025. And Eileen, I'll leave it to your wisdom to coordinate us all and come up with the right date to do that. So once more, thank you very much for the engagement, the participation, and I would say also with your patience with the central bankers and their acronyms. Indeed, thank you very much for today.
Thank you, George. So that concludes the ECMS focus session for today. Very nice to have everyone on board here. And as I said at the beginning, your feedback is essential. So we really tried to take it on board. So we tried with the acronyms today. We tried with showing stuff on the website. So, provide this. It really only takes, a minute less. Just scan the QR code on your way now down to your movement session, because everyone should move a little bit now after sitting still for 2.5 hours. But scan the QR code and just provide that feedback. That would really help us improve these sessions. We do them for you. This is the reason why we have the focus session, is really for you to get the most out of them. So, to let us know how they work and what you would like to see as improvements. And then I just want to, of course, flag that the easy way to follow us generally is here. There's 3 ways to get up-to-date information about what's going on, about our events, about all our news. We post it here. So the LinkedIn group is the one that comes first. So try that one. It's really the first piece of information. You get it from that. So look for ECB Market Infrastructure and Payments, and you will find this group, and we will accept you as members. Also, the newsletter, as always, it works and you all like it. So if you're not already signed up, then please do so. Or the X, you can always follow us there as well. We post any news that we have. And already now I can just, you may have already been on the website and see we are doing the next focus session already in a few weeks or less, 2nd of December, different topics, so not ECMS, but we're tackling cross-border payments. So if you're interested in that topic, 2nd of December. But that's it for us. So we just want to thank everyone for joining. Great to have you there. Great. And thank you for super participation as always. And until next time, thank you and goodbye.